Yeah, that sound means we're coming. That sound means that we are here. MLB live lock show, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Tell your friends, tell your mom, get the babies off the streets. I'm here with Tattoo today, DFSArmy.com, representing. Use that coupon code down there at the bottom, MLB Live, for 10% off for the one of you that is in the chat already. It's probably Razzle, to be honest. What's going on, dude? Since the last time we've done a show, anything new? While people are kind of piling in, you might as well tell all your secrets now.
Well, I almost have feeling back in my lips and nose after my root canal this afternoon. Other than that, not a whole lot new happening here.
I'm counting on you for some real off the wall picks then, if you're still like drugged up from the dentist.
I'm still reeling from the Zach Hyman news. So.
Yeah, Hyman's threw us all off. What do you have? Why don't you run down the weather for us today? Because you said there was already a game canceled, obviously, and I'm going to let you just cover that and talk about what you think about. Because since you did the FanDuel sheet, then you've been dealing with St. Louis and Baltimore, so I'll let you tell everybody about that.
Yes, jump back here. Well, we've already lost Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Baltimore will only be on the FanDuel slate, and that's not the best weather conditions either. I think it's still a good postpone risk and an in-game delay risk. So probably if I'm playing FanDuel, a game I'm not going to mess around with too much. It's good for pitching, but I'm certainly not trusting Cade Pavich. And I'm not. I can't remember who's pitching for St. Louis. Miles.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
he ain't so bad.
Either one of those pitchers.
You can. Yeah, I'm not using him as a pitcher. I might use him for my bats. Actually, that would be a game that if it does go off, that game might hit the over. I don't like the 70% PPD risk to it, of course. But if for whatever damn reason it does play, man, otherwise be a pretty juicy target.
Yeah, sometimes those games can pop off after a rain delay. Something in the air. I'm just stalling on my computer froze.
Yeah, you got Ricardo in the chat already saying that you made a comment doing 4-3 instead of 5-2. From a takedown on short slates, unless I made that comment. What's the recommendation for FanDuel? For FanDuel, obviously you can't do 5-2 DK. You're always doing a 4-3. I don't usually need to do. I will say this. I've done some really weird stuff on FanDuel with the nickel and the quarter MME, where I've used, say, 100 lineups and have not hardly touched DS at all. I've just forced in 3x2 stacks and 4x3 stacks at 100% any given night, and I don't care what team. I leave them all 0 to 100. Small stack, big stack, pitchers, doesn't matter. One unique player, and I just get a ton of lineup overlap and hope that very small variations off of the optimal crush the slate. And those are the kind of nights when I get 80 out of 100 through the cash line. They don't get me more than about 3x or 4x, but it doubles my outlay, which is really weird. That's when you hear me talk about playing that small nickel on FanDuel MME like a cash game, and that I'm just there to double it up because the cut line's pretty low. All my lineups look alike. It almost looks like a train. And then on some night when stuff smashes, sure, you get 4x, 5x back. I can subscribe to that theory. But if you're playing it to win by the book, then you're still going to 4x3 stack it. And, you're still going to try and take a little game theory. You're going to use leverage stacks. You use the tools and stuff. You're not going to kind of cheat like I've done in the past before, because it's just such a weird suboptimal theory that I've back tested over the course of 2 seasons. And if you just want to grind money by clicking a button, I mean, it works. It's weird, but it works.
And the only real weather concern, and it's not really a concern, it's just maybe bad hitting conditions, would be Chicago. But I don't know, their offense seems it don't matter. They can score in a snowstorm.
Well, that's who I would probably fade then, maybe. Might be bad pitching matchup to fade them, but anybody can come out flat. Last couple of games, the Yankees only scored 2 or 3. Somebody has disappointed us. One of those big offenses has disappointed on each of them.
It's only 67 degrees in Los Angeles, but the wind's blowing out. Well,
yeah. I don't know. If I go through the rundown, we already did the weather, of course. You've got 5 games, no Coors Field. Serious risk in Baltimore if you're playing on FanDuel. The starting pitchers over on the DraftKings side look to be down to about 4 guys. Now, you may have somebody that you like that you want to include. I didn't see much of a need, even on the Carnage report. Boyd, Schmidt, Green, and Kirby. And we know how people feel about Clark Schmidt and stuff like that. But those are the chalk guys, and any kind of combination of those 4 probably gets the job done unless you're trying to get super, super cute. And then your big leverage stacks or your chalk stacks are the Yankees, the Cubs, and Seattle. It seems all pretty straightforward to me when it comes down to today. I know I'll let you throw a pitcher or 2 out there or a hidden stack if you want, but I already, from the green room, if you want to call it that, I already know the stack you're highest on. So
yeah. If I'm pitching, it would probably start with Boyd and Kirby are going to be my top 2. Clark Schmidt right there. Hunter Green, Boomer gives up a ton. And about the only other pitcher I think I would use would be Kikuchi. Just hope the Yankees fail.
Yeah.
But
looking at
other than that, I'm really interested in. Looking
at my favorite pitching metric, K-score, Boyd's a 564, Green is a 580, Schmidt's 537. The other guys all fall way under 500. So I think the next thing I got is like Lauer against Texas at 492, Trevor Williams against Seattle at 455. The one that really caught my eye is a FanDuel one, and that's just the ISO against Cade, Pavich, whatever. He's almost a 400 WOBA allowed, 235 ISO. If that game plays, which the weather sucks, I might throw a handful of St. Louis lineups out there. But everything else, especially on the power side, they're all pretty middling. Boyd can give up some bombs. Hunter Green can give up some bombs, but they're facing Colorado and KC, which we don't have maybe a ton of trouble. It might not be a bad night, though. It might not be a bad night if you wanted to really take some leverage. Throw some mini stacks or something of Colorado against Boyd and hope that he coughs up something, because he can. But I don't know. To me, it just feels pretty straightforward. Just take it for what it is. I don't need to get cute. I usually do on 5-game slates. I tend to get a little bit cute because that's where you've got a high ownership and you can really take some leverage against them. Not like on the bigger slates, but I mean, tonight I don't see anything just absolutely jumping off the page at me that I want to run into. I might just kind of play it straight up and look forward to tomorrow. Is there any wrinkle and any cutesy wrinkle that you see worth throwing anything at?
Pitching wise?
Kirby was 4th chalk. I mean, 4th owned. That's not
I'm
exactly
only playing
low.
4 lineups, and I'll probably lock Boyd into all 4, and then just play with the other ones and get them in. But
stack wise,
any
kind of a team offense target.
Seattle's my number 1 offense tonight.
Razzle's saying no, Cameron. So Seattle's your number 1 set. I think they would be mine too, just based on expense. I think what I would do tonight, if I had to really look at it here, I'll share the leverage stacks page really quick. If it's me, the way these ownerships are all lined up and the leverages are all lined up, the top 4 owned teams or the top 4 leverage teams, that to me screams, unless I'm looking at the LA Angels or maybe getting a little bit even off a little bit more, I'm just going to play those 4 as my main stacks. Problem is New York and Chicago are kind of cost prohibitive. So for me, I I might fade one of those. I probably am not going to fade them both. It's only 10 teams to choose from, and 2 of them are pretty awesome offenses. But I might fade one and hope I guess right.
Yeah. I'll be
balls bigger than I got to fade them both. So probably Chicago with that bad weather, but I don't know. Either one, flip a coin.
I'll probably be fading. Again, I'm playing 4 lineups. I probably will fade both of them on my 5-man side. And then maybe just get some mini stacks out of them on the other side.
So just go heavy on Seattle. Are you playing them in all 4 of your lineups, or just?
Probably 3 of them, and I might take a shot on Texas.
For all of the allergic to chalk people out there in the world, how many lineups would you have to build before you took somebody like a Toronto or, God forbid, a Colorado or something like that for pure leverage?
Way over 20.
Okay, so even if you were only doing a 20 max, you still wouldn't have any exposure to those guys.
Yeah, I mean, in 20 max, I only picked like 3 teams for my main stack. So,
and those 3 teams, are you going straight down the line with New York, Chicago, and Seattle?
I think I would. Yeah, that's tough. I really want to fade one of them at least.
I'm just here to ask the questions, brother.
Let's see. I would.
Y'all see the smoke coming out of his ears over there right now? Look at that. This smoke is like.
I would fade the Yankees. And go heavy on Seattle. Get a little Chicago and Texas.
So Texas would be the 4th team in.
Yeah.
If you had to.
If I had to. And then range with Cincinnati.
I'm really stupid. I just something about a couple of people. I think it's that Matt Boyd ISO against that. If he's going to give something up, he's going to give something up. I would not mind taking a mini stack of Colorado tonight for whatever. It's only because Boyd is the chalk, right? Like he is the SP1. Everybody's going to do that.
What I might do with that is find me a single entry, a high dollar single entry, and use
a large field.
And use the Rockies as my mini stack.
Okay, so you would use it as a piece of your portfolio. You use it as a hedge, basically, where you're going to build 4 lineups, like you're going to play medium to smaller field stuff with your Yankees, Cubs, maybe some Texas, but mostly Seattle, and Boyd locked in all 4 of those lineups. But then you might throw in something somewhere else, like a dollar single entry or something crazy, that in case Boyd does get blown up, you've got him over here in a larger field thing where it can really, really pay off.
Yeah.
That would make that I like. I can get on board with that. I mean, that's obviously why we're here discussing things together, because I don't want to be the guy that always says eat the chalk. I don't want to be the guy that always says be allergic to the chalk. I think it needs to make some sense. And if I was only building 1 lineup tonight, I don't think I would be using Colorado.
Yeah.
But even if it was a large field thing, but if I was building 4, 5, 6, 20 or more lineups out there, I think I would start looking at the option to, like you said, kind of throw it somewhere where it can really, really, really pay off. And you don't care if the lineup fails, because the lineup should fail.
The guy that won my contest last night had 2 zeros from his 5-man stack. So.
Hey. You never know, man. I mean, I've seen people win with a negative from pitching.
Yeah.
It can happen. Sadly, I've been taking too many negatives from my pitchers lately. I've been blown up by a couple of them recently. I kind of, sucked a little bit.
I've been on a good roll with pitching, but
here's what I want you to do with a couple of for the next couple of minutes. I've told people that I want to share some of these tools back and forth. You've kind of got your basic marching orders with your pitchers and your stacks and stuff. How do you go about finding people in the research station? I know you use it. when you're building your cheat sheets and stuff. Let's show this off to everybody here really quickly. Show them another tool. We see Carnage Report. We see leverage stacks and stuff all the time. So let's dive into the research station, because I know that even like Akilla Cam, if he's in here, has asked about kind of a basic tutorial of the research station. Where do you start? What do you use filters? Do you do all that stuff?
No, I haven't. The only filter, I mean, by time and position, when I'm doing certain things, but I usually go over to 7 and 14-day trend and sort by OPS and just kind of start going through here.
Which one, 7 or 14? Which one you want to sort
7. I usually start with 7.
Okay, you just tell me what buttons to click. And
really, it's just eyes at this point.
Yeah.
Like birdie, but hey, it's only one plate appearance. And then if I'm going to start with my catchers.
Do you go by positions? Do you filter off positions? So if I do catchers, I've got Herrera, Davis, Kirk, Carson Kelly.
Yeah, and then I sort by OPS.
Oops, I sorted by OBP. My bad. That explains why that was weird.
And then,
Ohapi at 1,100, Cal Raleigh at 1,100, Carson Kelly, Salvi Perez over 1,000 last week. Wow, who knew?
But
do you compare it? Do you compare it to the 14-day and see if they're kind of rising and falling?
Yeah, to kind of see which way it's going.
Which means 1,100 for the 7 days and 900 for the 14. He's trending up still, sort of.
Yeah,
that's how you would interpret that, right?
Yeah.
And let's see if we find anybody. There's somebody that jumps at you. Carson Kelly, 1,100 for 7 days, 367 for 4. Nope, damn OBP again.
Cal Raleigh pops.
He's 1,100 now, and he's 1,000 over the past 2 weeks. He's been, to me, that means he's pretty steady. I'll look for someone who, couple down here, Salvi Perez and Tyler Stevenson. Salvi Perez, 1,000 OPS, 600. 600 over 2 weeks and 1,000 over this week means that the previous 7 days were crap. These 7 days have been good.
Yeah.
So maybe he's on a heater. Maybe he'll hold on to that a little bit. Same with Tyler Stevenson, 900 OPS, 7-day, 600, 14-day. Now, do you ever find guys go the reverse and then get off of them?
Yeah. Mainly, at least for my cheat sheets, because I don't want to suggest somebody going the wrong direction, but it still could be somebody I play personally if I like the matchup. But after I go through here and kind of identify 4 or 5 guys that, pop, and I go through the 14, then I'll go back over through the lefties and righties, depending on who they're facing, and, see if they have a good matchup. And then, like I said, I have some other tools not here that I use for bullpens and stuff like that.
Put a pin in the lefty-righty thing for a minute, because the way I would do what you're suggesting, if I'm looking for guys that I'm getting off of, I would sort by the 14-day trend and then look for 7-day trends that are way lower than the 14-day. And Ivan Herrera, third on the list, 14-day at 900 OPS, is only a 500 the past 7 days. That tells me he's really, really cooled off. And he might be a guy that I would consider getting on. This is just the catchers. This isn't everybody.
Yeah.
But just to show people, watching how I might use these tools. Like I'm going to sort 7-day OPS for the hot guys, and I'm looking for the 7-day trend to be a lot higher than the 14-day if I can. Now, if he's on a sustained heater, he's on a sustained heater. But that's what I'm looking for, there. Now, when I'm going the reverse direction and saying, okay, who got cold, then I'll sort the 14-day OPS to the top and then go back to the 7-day and look at whose 7-day is shit.
Yeah, like Drake Baldwin significantly dropped from 14 and to the 7
position.
Yeah, catcher.
What?
Like,
because I don't even see him on the list.
I only have the late games, and so you're probably seeing a lot more players than me.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. I might be looking at guys that are on the different slates.
Yeah.
How would you do the lefty righty stuff? Do you do that in the research station? How do you find that? Do you just scroll back over and see that they bat left or righty?
I get versus, I guess I meant who they're facing.
Right.
But right before 7-day trend is their righty matchups, and then their to the left is their lefty matchups.
Gotcha. Yeah, these numbers here, the versus righties versus lefties. So if Cal Raleigh's at the top, that's where you find his kind of weird. Well, he's actually 919 versus lefties and 959 versus righties. There's a split. O'Hoppe
comes against righties.
O'Hoppe's 1,000 versus lefties, and he's 800 versus righties. Conversely, Carson Kelly's 800 versus lefties, and he is 1,100 versus righties. So you would want some of those guys with the splits. You would want to target those pitchers, of course. You'd want the favorable side on the bat to be matching up against the good side of the arm. Hopefully people are following along, because when you dive a little bit deeper, these are the stuff that, these are the tools that you're kind of looking into to tie break or set guys. Now, when you find somebody like Cal Raleigh that or whatever, Baldwin, whatever, that you really, really like on the day, do you lock them into your stack? Do you boost their projections? Do you do anything to bring them into more of your stacks to make sure you see more? Do you put a minimum on them? How do you handle that?
I will boost them normally. I don't like putting mins on players just because I'm going to put maxes on them. So I just try to boost them up, if I really, I can't think of.
Yeah, DePrince brings up that Raleigh's 0 for 4 versus the pitcher tonight. So that's one of those things too, where I might not see that, and I put him in my stacks because it's Raleigh and he can hit a bomb on anybody, and I would say, oh, but that's a small sample size. It's only 4 at-bats, blah, 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 blah. And then that's where DePrince would come back at me and be like, dude, it's 0 for 4, though. It might be a trend. Therefore, I'm going to use Seattle stacks, but I'm going to uncheck his ass and make sure he's not in my stacks. And, may the best man win. Because one of us is going to be right and one of us is going to be wrong.
Then I would say that the pitcher is probably not going to go much more than 5 innings, so I'll get some bullpen at ABs too. So.
Right.
Like, I don't think, the Washington pitcher is not going to throw a complete game tonight.
Brandon's asking how you get a job with DFS Army. And I know he's joking and laughing about it, but to be honest with you, I'll tell you what I tell anybody. You get in here as a VIP, you make you be the most common commenter there. You're always offering good advice. You're helping people. You're leading from the front. You almost care more about their success than your own. And you
have your own opinion.
You eventually grab somebody's eye, like Football Geek or somebody like that, and then they offer you a job. If you want a job with us, you get into the VIP room and you become the lead go-to guy. Maybe build a method, build something like that, show a bunch of credibility with some winning and stuff like that, and you will turn heads. And when you turn heads, you will be on a very, very short list. And that's honestly what everybody in the entire community should be looking forward to doing, is how do I get there? Because whether you think that you are a better DFS player than us, or a better writer or video guy or content creator or whatever, man, you might be right. I'm not going to live here, sit here so condescendingly arrogant saying that I'm the best and blah, blah, blah. Dude, we're all replaceable. We're all always looking for upgraded talent. So everybody that wants to turn this into any kind of a gig should be in that chat, driving that chat, kind of not being a douche about it, but making a name for themselves for how they help people, kind of a service mentality, and you will get noticed. That's how all of us landed here. Every one of us that you see on staff, every one of us turned ahead at the right time. So, if you're serious, then get in there and, we welcome it. Absolutely do. And anybody else. That's why I say it. Is for the other, 50 to 100 people that are in here watching today. That thing is not. We're not judgy people. We love everybody. Ivan says the same thing. Very active in their Discord. You turn heads. You get noticed. And sometimes when People fall short staffed to get a job. But in the meantime, it all starts with that coupon code down there at the bottom, that MLB Live for 10% off at dfsarmy.com. Get your butt in here, become a VIP, and start making a name for yourself. What else would you do with the research station? And then let's build a lineup.
Honestly, that's about how much I use it.
Okay.
Because I mean, I have so many different tools I'm pulling from, so like that's kind of my research station part of it. It's probably so much more information I can gather, but that's the main use for me.
I would do something like this. I would go to home runs per 9 in the opponent bullpen and look at some of those green numbers. You know, your Texas Rangers jumped to the top, and we said generating leverage wise and whatever else that against that pitcher, he does carry a smidge of ISO against, a little bit lower. Okay, well, it's against Eric Lauer. I don't know. There's just little things like that you can use all of these little tools for, and you can start putting together, you know, your player pool, your favorite players. Like if you're building around a core of 3 or 4 players and they're not stacked, but, you know, you're going to build a stack around whatever. There's all sorts of ways to play this game and do it right. And this research station is absolutely loaded.
Yeah, and then there's a ton of stuff for pitchers, you know.
Yeah, I didn't even look at the pitchers tab yet. I mean, I can kick over to that. You know, we can come over here and we can look at, you know, K percent or K per 9 on the season, and you can already see that Hunter Green's 11 Ks per 9, Kirby 9.8, whatever. I mean, this is how you start picking up some of these guys and keying on them. Let's build a lineup. Let's me and you versus the squad. Let's see. You guys, I didn't even see. How did we do? Yeah, shit. Use code Raz. Give him some commission. Get him back in here full time. Make him tell that job to F off. When I did not get that lineup in last night, I'll tell you what, Brandon, is that what you want? You want to lock in Boyd? Simple yes or no. I'll lock him in just based on you saying yes or no, and then we'll go from there. Unless anybody else wants to chime in and they want to pick the SP2. Because the way we did this yesterday, all right, we'll lock him in. The way we did this yesterday with Darth Pasta is Tattoo and I will kind of go through that second pitcher then, unless other people have a really, really decided opinion. And then we'll start thinking about, you know, a stack, what teams are we going to include in that secondary stack? You guys pick the main stack. So Brandon said lock chalk Boyd. So we'll do that. Anybody else got main stack ideas? Yeah, to Prince, lock and Boyd on FD. Probably not a bad way to go. Let's go over to the domination station while you guys get on those keyboards, man. Get the typing. Tell us what we're doing. Tattoo aren't gonna bite.
Hand typing.
What's that?
So, and look at Raz is active, and he's only using one hand to type.
Right. Shots fired. Let's see. Where be old Boyd at? There he is. Lock the chalk. Now, we'll use those other guys here, you know, in a minute. I'm going to uncheck all of them, and I'm assuming we're going to put these other guys in here. That's up to me and you while everybody's looking for any kind of a main stack.
Include Cameron, too.
All the way down here to Cameron. That's going to get Raz riled up. You want Kikuchi, Kirby, Green, Schmidt, all, none, some? Where you want? Because, I mean, I think we need to lock Hunter Green just as upside alone. 11.5 K per 9 speaks. If he goes off, you're going to want him. So I would like to at least give him an option to pull in. You liked Kirby, right?
Yeah.
So we'll check Kirby back in. Is there anybody else you want to include? You've got Cameron, Kirby, Green, Boyd. Do you want Schmidt, Kikuchi, any of those guys, or just leave them out?
No, I don't think we need Kikuchi.
Because the way I do this when I'm doing my own lineups is I may build 20 lineups with these guys, and I'm going to go through them when they build, and I'm going to go, oh, look, ew, look, ew. And if I keep saying ew on somebody, I'll just go back and uncheck him because I'm not going to put the lineup in anyway.
I just don't like Kirby's K upside.
You don't?
Yeah.
Do we want to leave him in, or do we want to just go with Boyd, Green, and Cameron?
Yeah, just take those three.
Okay. Let's check for those hitter stacks. I'm gonna bust open the stack, and we'll go again 5x2, just because it's just what works. I'm not that worried about it. Who are we locking in on the big stack side? That's what we need the comments for.
I'm going.
Yankees. DePrince says Yankees. I know you're going with Seattle. DePrince says Yankees. Kirby second start back from IL. It's a good point, Darth. Goldie, Simeon, Young, Suzuki, and Happ, and Judge for your SE. That's cool. I would coordinate that. I would make sure that thing correlates hardcore, Brandon. I would make sure that it's at least stacked on one side. Let's see. You can lock in the Yankees and see what happens. We'll force a big, expensive stack in there. Where are you, little Yankees? There you are. Little Yankees. They'd probably be pissed I called them that. Put them all the way over on the one side. We'll build 5 lineups. Who are we going with them? I mean, you're probably not getting Cubs with them. You're going to put Seattle in there, of course.
No.
Texas?
Yeah.
Toronto? Cincinnati?
I really wouldn't eliminate anybody.
Well, for the sake of
this,
for the sake of whatever. Well, I mean,
I would maybe just throw.
If I didn't eliminate anybody, how many lineups would you run? These are all Yankee stacks. I mean, I'm only running 5 lineups. You want to run 10? You want to run 15? 20?
10. Maybe run 10 and 30 max
on the right side,
stacks, so you don't.
So it forces us off, and now we'll get an idea of where we're going to go. And I will automatically come over here to the stacks tab. Yankees all in 100, all 10 lineups. 3 Seattle, 3 LA, 2 Chicago. I did put some Chicago in there. 1 Toronto and 1 Washington. So when I look at those combinations, there's your 3 Yankees and Seattle stacks right there. You got Green and Boyd, Green and Boyd, Green and Boyd, and all 3. And now you're looking at.
But who's the Seattle guys?
Polanco and the Masturbator on one of them. So that's a 2-8. It's at 1, 3, 5, 7, 8 for New York. 1, 3, 7, 8, 9. So 7, 8, 9, 1, 3. That's actually correlated really, really well. And on the Seattle side, it's a 2-5. It's Polanco or Rosarena. I might prefer that one over the lineup number 1, even though it's Travis d'Arnaud in the one-off. The one off here was still Travis d'Arnaud. I like that combo better than the top one, even though it supposedly projects at 0.11 fantasy points more. And this is another thing to mention, guys. Please don't think that there's any discernible difference in that 0.11 fantasy points. I hear people all the time, hey, do I take this lineup or that lineup? It projects higher. Yeah. By how much? If it's by 1/10 of a point, it's negligible. Ruiz as the Washington one-off. 1, 7, 8, 9, 1, 3, 7, 8, 9. Again for New York, and a 1-5. That's Crawford and Rosarena. So would you rather have Polanco or Rosarena or Crawford or Rosarena?
What was the first one again?
First one was Polanco or Rosarena.
Yeah, that one.
And then Crawford or Rosarena. You'd rather have Polanco, and there's your stack, right?
I like Polanco tonight.
Okay, so lineup 2 is where we would come on the New York-Seattle combo. But if we look at there's 3 LA Angels, New York Yankees stacks. If we do those, then we're at what? Boyd Green loves Boyd Green. Even though we gave him that third option, it's on Boyd Green. That's fine. 1, 7, 3, 5, 8. 4, 7 in the Angels with the 9. Ben Williamson bringing up the ass end of the order in Seattle for the one-off. I don't like that. Ruiz again, and then 4, 9 Rengifo. Suspect. Josh Young is the one-off. Lugo's got to make the lineup, though. Lugo's not in the lineup in LA yet, but it'd be a 7-8, 7-9, something like that. And then Josh Young is the one-off. Be interesting. I don't know. I like to do this. I like to scan through these lineups, take a look. There's Chicago and New York Yankees. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, even the way I go with
Taylor Ward is a one.
I hand build for the most part, but I'll run the DS to see what it's giving, and then I'll go in and change the stacks and move.
Okay. Point me in one of those directions. Let's show people what you're talking about. You want to do New York, Seattle? Do you want to change those stacks around a little bit?
I'm so blind I can't see yours.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Probably everybody else is blind too because of that. I didn't know I could zoom in that easily on this particular tab. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. So you got Green, Boyd, then Darno, Goldschmidt, LeMahieu, Polanco, Volpe, Judge, Dominguez, and then Mastrobuoni. What would you do? You want to change that Seattle stack? Would you want to change that Yankee stack? Would you want to fade Judge and get some salary?
I feel like if I'm going to stack the Yankees, I'm going to take Judge.
Okay.
But maybe somewhere like a yeah, I could get some salary saving there.
What if you swap out Volpe?
Yeah, how much is Neto?
Not an ace too much. He's 5,800. Damn. 5,800 versus Volpe's 4,500. You'd probably have to lose a pitcher or lose Judge.
Could you? Shit, he's only 2,400. I was seeing what other outfielders there were, but I may
Well, if I take out
Green to give me some salary.
So take out Hunter Green. The only one you can use in our player pool.
We're only gonna get $200.
Yeah, the only one that you can swap out in our player pool is Cameron. You can take somebody else if you want to. That's what when you start off with a restricted player pool, obviously that makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, I'd probably pay down, get rid of Jason Dominguez, and just find me somebody else.
Well, do you want to start waiting? We can always go back and swap these guys out too.
Like I said, it doesn't have to be a Yankee. I'm swapping it to.
Right.
Just another player to get me some more salary to play.
So let's do this. Let's
see Taylor Ward there.
Soler, yeah, Taylor Ward.
Ooh.
Let's put him in right now. There's Ward, Darno.
Catcher.
So catcher doesn't give you much.
I like. He ain't doing much this year, but I like him.
Who, Darno?
Yeah.
Would you? So you're at this point. You're 4.22.
So I would probably see what I could do with Masturbator and see if I could get to.
Santa Blanca, Connor Joe. You're not getting much. You got Osuna in the 5-hole in Texas.
Honestly, I would probably take him. Because I'd rather have him and then try to do something with Polanco and just say, fuck Seattle,
Okay. So you're looking to correlate at least, I guess, with, you've already got 2 Angels in there. You can go back to a Yankee. You can go, if you can. You can get Peraza at the bottom of the order. Moncada.
Yeah, I like him.
Which one?
Mercado.
So if you did Moncada, you've got now
what, 4-3?
Yeah, you got a 4-3-1. It's a 3-4-7 from the Angels. It is a 1-3-5-7 from the Yankees with a one-off in Osuna in Texas. I don't know. That's not bad. The point is, this is what you're going to do.
Yankees. I'm trying to eliminate Yankees.
Let's see what.
I would take Aaron Judge and Goldschmidt and move on from the Yankees.
So you'd live in as a mini stack? Well, that goes away from stacking all
but
five of them,
I
but we
mean,
started to do it first. But if we did that to morph this thing, you said you would take, so you'd get rid of LeMahieu, you'd have to hand build that one.
yeah, that's what I was saying. I get in there and I'm looking all around and
I
changing.
like to use it to finish off with a swap here or there. I don't like to make wholesale changes because then I'm kind of saying if I was going to make wholesale changes, I would go back up to the tool in general and I would uncheck Yankees and I would go to Seattle or I would go to Texas or I would go to somebody else and make them the 5-man stack and then see what that does.
Yeah, I'm only usually looking to make 2 or 3 changes, and mainly, I don't want the optimal generated lineup. I'm going to take, the guy from the stack that's not going to get shoved in. Just to be different.
Let's see. I'm looking through the comments right now. Don's asking how you pick pitchers on a 2-game contest. When we're talking about showdowns and 2-game slates, not 3-game, but 2-game slates, oftentimes I will check the box on the domination station that allows me to play pitchers against my pitcher, or hitters against my pitcher. Right here.
Yeah.
I'll check that box right there, and I might allow 1 or maybe 2 or something like that. And that's one way I can get the DS to build me a lot of lineups, and then I can start looking at what I like as a general strategy. Picking pitchers, I'm just going K per 9, man. Or, I want the upside. I want a team that strikes out, and I want a pitcher that strikes people out. And if those guys are obvious, fine. I don't mind when you only got 4 pitchers to choose from on a 2-game slate. I don't mind eating chalk, and I'm not usually looking to get too terribly off of it. Or in some salary cases, that's when I don't know if it allows bullpen guys in there. I don't play a lot of 2-game slates personally.
Yeah.
Because I don't like all of those goofy parameters or variables entering in, but that's what I would do. That's how I would start looking at pitchers.
But as far as that lineup, I don't know I don't even know for sure if Darno is even in the lineup.
Is he not projected for a spot? Is he just
he's not
blank?
Projected for a spot on here.
Well, let's see. Judge and Goldie, of course, that's who you agreed with Brandon. Let me make sure I get these. Sorry for the crickets, but that's what I'm learning is we look for pitchers to get 5Ks or better per night. Yeah, I mean, Don, the thing is, it's a good question to discuss. I'm not looking like I'm not drawing a line somewhere and saying, he has to be able to get me 7Ks or anything like that. I don't care. I can't have him get shelled. I can win with bats around a lot of pitchers that have subpar performances. They don't get shelled. And in some cases, when you're dealing, let's say that the only 2 games tonight were, if I look at DS here really quick, I think it's a late night anyway. It's Seattle, Washington, Yankees, Angels. Yankees are going to be a favorite to build around. Well, that might be so much chalk that I get off of it and do Seattle instead or LA against, instead. But in a spot like that, let's say that the Yankees were the overwhelming choice and the other teams were just terrible, terrible, terrible. Then if I have to take, those Yankees, then because their salary is so high, then I might have to punt at pitcher or something like that. These are just nuances on this so small slates because they really, 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 and that might not lead to a pitcher that's going to get 5Ks. It might, in a showdown slate for sure, it might lead to a relief pitcher or some crap. I wouldn't put him in my captain spot necessarily, but I don't know. Who knows? It's really, really weird. There's not a lot of data that we've ever done inside DFS Army on those super, super, super small slates. Anyway, we've done some, but not a ton. That opens up the door for Brandon if he wants a job to give you something to target if that's what you want to specialize in. Man, there'd probably be a need for it. Razzle's offering up some opinion too, saying you want all the K side in 6+ innings, and that is absolutely true. In the absence of not being able to find it on a slate, sometimes you can't always find it. If you can, and there's only 2 pitchers in those 2 games, take them, or the one on FanDuel. Make sure you get that. Generally, yes, you definitely want the K upside. There's no doubt about it, but you also don't want that guy to get shelled. win quality start as a combo to target an FT. You guys are helping him out through the chat. That's awesome. Thank you. While we were digging through. It's hard to build Seattle and New York with Boyd. Yes. Got to have some exposure to the Angels. Schmidt always plenty of base runners. That is very true. Schmidt can get shelled. And you know what? If you get the good side of the Angels tonight, the ones that are hitting home runs, you're going to really, really want some exposure to Angels. Building New York without Judge gives salary. That's true. It gives large amount of leverage too, because if Judge does one of those 1-for-3 things again where he just hits a single and it turns into Luis Oroz for the night or Ichiro, then that's one thing. But if I was doing that on the main slate, I might swap out Judge in a stack, and then if I've got the salary left over, try my best to build it in and get like a Kyle Tucker or somebody like that, because I'm not putting a lot of Cubs in there with Yankees.
I just want to fade the Yankees completely.
Yeah, you clearly did not like them in that build. Yeah, I mean, I think we've shown a little bit. I think we got some tools. I would just play this slate personally pretty straight up. I think there's some merit to be had for fading either Yankees or Cubs. I don't know that I would fade them both on this small slate.
Baltimore's going to start delayed, and as long as the field is playable, they will play just to drizzle the rest of the evening. 90% chance they play.
Where'd that come from?
Joey.
So 90% chance they play. That means over on FanDuel, I, in my opinion, load up on Cardinals and hope that they get to smash that baseball around a little bit. With that guy giving up the ISO that he's given up,
Yeah.
I would try to play on that trend. And the fact that people aren't getting that weather report up this close to lock. And that seems like a pretty sharp move to make for sure. You got any final words, final thoughts? We can send these guys off with into the slate. Again, it's just I'm not overthinking it tonight.
Yeah, keep it simple. Helmets up.
That's the price.
Jump in the Discord. Be amazed what you learn from people.
Well, I mean, you hear us say helmets up. Max says he thinks the dude that took down the FD early tournament was, well, Brandon, it's not on the 7 o'clock slate on DraftKings. It is on the FanDuel slate, apparently.
Yeah, FanDuel starts at 6:40.
But if the guy took down the FanDuel early tournament and he was from the Army, hopefully you saw his Army helmet. That means that you guys that are VIPs and members, go grab your own helmet, change your avatar. That's what makes you eligible for swag if you win a big contest. And get in there and get those helmets on top of those leaderboards. I don't know. For me, for Tattoo, for DFSArmy.com, you guys, thanks for tuning in as always. We're off tomorrow. I don't know what you guys are going to do. I can't be here Friday. And I'm not saying that from a spot of, oh, no, the show won't survive, because it absolutely will. It'll probably be better. But I don't know who the two hosts are going to be. I'm not going to be one of them. So hopefully either Razzle can plug in. Tattoo, I bet you it's you and Darth.
Yeah, probably. I know. I'm pretty positive I'm signed up. I'm on Friday.
All right, cool. And get somebody else in here. And you guys have a good show. If I watch it, I'll be watching it from my car as I'm driving down the road. That's probably not the smartest thing to do. But if you've ever driven I-70 across Missouri from St. Louis to Kansas City, it's pretty damn straight shot as it is. It's pretty flat. I might be able to watch and drive at the same time and not put anybody's lives at risk.
You know what I've missed and used to really enjoy, I was talking about with some buddies the other day, is listening on the radio.
Yeah, sure. I can always.
I mean, that's
turn
a
volume
good
up,
listen.
not look at
That's
it.
a fun listen. Like,
well, maybe I will tune into you guys and listen that way. And I won't be able to comment. You don't want my comment anyway. You guys, let's have fun tonight. Let's get up there at the top of the leaderboards. And I guess two of us will see you. Well, there you go. Two of us will see you on Friday. Take care, everybody.